This segment considers a dramatically different approach to the policymaking process, one that considers the individual as the main focus of analysis. This public choice perspective came into full political force in the 1980s, but was gestating intellectually in the 1950s and 1960s as the disciplines of economics and political science came together to study public policy issues. The basic axiom, in other words, the starting point for all analysis that followed, was that every person is an egoistic, rational utility maximizer that has the ability to order their alternative goals, values, tastes, and strategies, and maximize their satisfaction by choosing from the available alternatives. With this as a starting point, markets provide the best means by which this is organized. Derived from the starting point is the argument that government should only step in when there is market failure. In other words, the default assumption is that government is the very last option. With this in mind, the basic premise of this chapter by William Mitchell is that the individual is a powerful consumer and a weak citizen. Furthermore, the politician and the bureaucrat are self-interested entrepreneurs. As a result, Mitchell establishes government as self-interested, arguably to the point of being an organism. This article establishes the concept of the demand model versus the supply model, with the demand model being one in which goods are provided by a monopolistic entity, whereas the supply model is one driven by consumer choice. In other words, with the demand model, government is a monopolistic supplier and the most authoritative and powerful social institution. As a result, government is seen as a potential exploiter. The basic premise of government spending is encapsulated by the assumption laid by Mitchell that nobody spends someone else's money as carefully as he spends his own. As a result, bureaucrats are assumed to be self-interested and want to expand their budget. This is carried out through underestimating of vague costs and overestimating the benefits of a program over time. However, it is important to note that this is an assumption that was not tested at that time. When it has been tested the time since, it has not been supported. The fiscal choices made by political institutions include how large or how small the public budget is, what the composition of spending priorities are, what revenue sources, instruments, and rates are selected, and what time horizon is for spending and taxation. Based upon the fiscal choices, public choice theorists believe that political institutions are flawed by imperfectly reflecting preferences of the general public. This is because information to make political decisions costs too much, with successful political action being improbable. According to the rational actor mindset underpinning public choice, efficiency is not rewarded mainly because cost-benefit calculations are more difficult than in the marketplace. Ultimately, the starting point is that political power is distributed through wealth, votes, and presence of democratic institutions. The basic assumption is that government wishes to purchase support by spending money in a manner that has benefits that are highly visible to beneficiaries. That means that the spending must be large enough to make a difference and with a continuous flow that is received either in the present or in the near future. This often would be immediately prior to elections and given to those on the fence. Under the public choice approach, the basic axioms of redistribution are that income and wealth are redistributed vertically and horizontally. In this case, most citizens pay and benefit with transfers happening within the same income bracket. The main means that the different economic classes gain is with the rich gaining through tax reduction, whereas the poor gain through welfare in terms of cash and in-kind benefits. The middle class, for its part, receives benefits through combinations of tax cuts and benefits, while specific occupational groups gain through market privileges. Language is important because redistribution is seen as distinct from rent-seeking, although they both accomplish the same goals, albeit through different means. According to Mitchell's argument, redistribution is not direct class-based conflict, but takes many forms, directions, and patterns in shifting wealth. However, the less emotionally evocative term of rent seeking accomplishes very much the same goal, albeit through structural changes. Rent seeking occurs when an entity makes its money through manipulation or exploitation of the political or economic environment rather than through economic transactions and the addition of economic wealth. This rent seeking reduces market risk for individuals and organizations, thus influencing distributive outcomes in a very subtle and hard to measure manner. In other words, it is redistribution through structure and makes redistribution an assumed part of the world that is not questioned.